Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 237 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, Cody Hanson from Hinder, I want to let you know that a second Mistress Carrie Grunge Brunch featuring 5 Against None has been added at City Winery Boston on December 29th. Saturday, December 28th, sold out, so a second show on Sunday has been added and is now on sale. Doors open at 11 a.m. and 5 Against None start performing Pearl Jam's Unplugged set at noon. Get the details on both Grunge Brunches on the concert and event calendar at mistresscarrie.com. The guys in Hinder have released new music, a song called Live Without It and a song called Everything is a Cult, both off of their upcoming new album that should be out in February. The band is also getting ready to go out on the road with Saliva in the new year. And while the band was off for a few days, I had a chance to sit down with drummer Cody Hanson. He was back at home in Oklahoma City, and we talked about his upbringing, his influences, and Hinder's plans for 2025. I was really grateful that he made time to talk to me because it's so busy around the holidays for everybody. So allow me to introduce you to Cody Hanson from Hinder. Well, hello there, Cody. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
I am doing really good. Thank you so much for hanging out. I know you're very busy out on the road right now.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm actually at home right now. We leave in a couple days to head out. So
I always love getting a chance to kind of check out people's workspaces. The fact that your walls are purple, I approve.
Yeah, they're like a red with some like black, and yeah, I kind of try to keep it like dark and moody here in the studio.
Hell yeah. Are you now, where are you living now? Are you one of those guys that stayed where you were from?
Yeah, still living in Oklahoma City. Probably about 7 miles from where I grew up. So yeah, I'm here.
I'm one of those people too, that like you are where you're from, the roots run deep.
Yeah, absolutely. So where are you from then? Just outside of Boston. Oh, okay. Right on.
Yeah. Sure. So I know you guys from WAF in Boston for years, obviously. So before the station got sold, we had a long relationship with Hinder. So.
Yeah, I remember. I never can remember exactly where everybody is, and because everybody just moves around so much in the radio game. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things about the industry is that like you see people and you're like, wait, why are you in this town? Where do I know you from? I just started on the air at 98 Rock in Charleston, and like Eric Bass from Shinedown is like, why are you on the radio in my hometown? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it gets confusing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a lot going on with Hinder, and I got to tell you that this resurgence of bands, I mean, I'm talking everything from 3 Days Grace to Creed. It feels like there is this whole new breath of fresh air in rock music right now where not only is there a lot of great new bands coming up, but a lot of bands that have had success over the decades have kind of decided, we're putting the band back together, we're putting out new music, like what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, it's been really nice to watch, you know. I feel like, you know, maybe with the Creed thing, everybody just started taking notice, and that kind of came up from there. But it's been great to watch everybody come out. We get to see a bunch of old fans coming out to shows and bringing their kids now, which is great. So it feels like we have this like whole new audience that's coming up with us again. It's really cool.
I bet the Creed guys a year ago could never have imagined the 2024 that they had, and obviously you guys spent time with them on the road this year.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch them do their thing. I mean, we've only been able to do one show with them, but we've been able to go to a couple other ones just as fans, I guess, and that was really cool to see. So yeah,
rock music is also having this interesting moment. Just today, the guys in Gojira released a music video for Mea Culpa, the song they performed during the Olympic ceremony. They even got nominated for a Grammy and had everybody at the Olympics talking about metal. And I was like, is this reality right now? Is this really what's going on?
Well, you know what? It's about time that people recognize when people have talent. That's pretty cool. I mean, and those guys are obviously incredible musicians, and, they deserve everything they get.
You guys started the band back in 2001, and over the years, just like a lot of rock bands have had ups and downs. Band members leave. There have been changes in the lineup. What do you think it is about the band members that are still there? And more importantly, the relationship with your fans that all these years later, they're still there.
I think it's, as far as like us in the band, we're more than just band members and friends. We've known each other and lived inside of a tube together, for over 20 years now. So, I mean, we're family. Like the guys in the band know more about me than everybody in my family, which is crazy. So, we keep each other grounded. We keep each other in check. And as far as the fans go, I mean, how cool is that? How lucky are we that, after all these years and all the stuff that we have been through, that they're still around and supporting us. I mean, that's incredible. We try to treat them just like family, like we do anybody else. So I think that's really important.
I love that you describe touring together as living in a tube together.
It is. It's like a giant, disgusting test tube full of germs and sickness.
I spent some time with Jerry Horton from Papa Roach recently, and we were talking about that band's journey and how important it is to give your band members, especially after 20 plus years of a career, kind of grace and space. And he attributed that to kind of keeping the band together all of these years. Can you talk about the difference in the relationship with the guys in Hinder now versus like when the band first hit? And how careful you guys are now to like really protect what you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think since everybody has, we're all grown-ups now for the most part. We try to be anyway. Everybody's got families and kids, and I think you just have to be mindful of that and respect what everybody's priorities are in life. Because those obviously change as you get older. When you have families, that becomes the ultimate priority, and that's the way it should be. So I think as long as everybody in the band and everybody in the family just respects that, I think that's the most important thing.
I ask this question all the time, and I have a feeling I know what your answer is going to be. Is it harder to keep a band together or a marriage together? I ask every band member this, and I very rarely get one answer over the other.
I don't feel like they're that different, if I'm being honest. I guess I would say probably a band, because, in a marriage, there's only two people and two people's emotions that you have to deal with. In a band, you've got 5 guys being unreasonable all the time. You know what I mean? So it's tough to do, but like I said, we've been lucky, and I don't really know what else to say. I mean, we're super grateful to still be here after all this time. Definitely lucky.
That's the answer I get probably 99% of the time. It's very rare that someone says the marriage is more difficult, although people do talk about how nice it is that you can escape the marriage by going out in the tube with the band.
Oh, absolutely. That's the only way that my wife still likes me, I think, is, I get out of her hair, and it gives her a chance to miss me, I think. I hope.
It is a really interesting way to have a relationship. And I bring it up because my husband's active duty military. So we can't even live in the same state most of the time. And so I can totally kind of empathize with you guys being separated so much of the time and then kind of being able to keep a relationship functioning, because so many of my friends that have normal, quote unquote, normal marriages where like they eat dinner together every night, they're like, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't understand. And there are so many successful rock marriages where you guys are out on the road for months at a time and you still make it work.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to figure out what your partner, what the other person needs, and how to do it accordingly. But you don't take that other person for granted when you're gone all the time. You know what I mean? It gives you a chance to take a step back and really appreciate and miss them. And I think that's important.
Has the function inside Hinder when it comes to songwriting changed that much from 2001 to now? Now that there's more technology, you don't necessarily need to live near each other. Has the dynamic inside the band changed when it comes to actually making music?
No, not really. I feel like most of the guys are still in Oklahoma City, which is great. Mike, our bass player, moved to Atlanta several years ago. But yeah, I mean, the way we operate, it makes it easy. You know, we have a home base here and a studio here, and a couple of us are the core writers, and that always helps. That always makes it a lot easier. So, I mean, I feel like things have stayed pretty consistent on that front, which is nice.
How does it work? Does it start with melody, a lyric idea, a riff? Like, how does the song actually begin?
It's different every time, almost. We like to sit down with an acoustic guitar or a couple of acoustic guitars and kind of come up with a melody and get the feeling and the vibe right, and then move on to lyrics. That's probably how we do it more often than not. But sometimes it'll start with a beat, a drum beat that we can program on a keyboard, or it'll start with some melody that you find yourself humming while you're mowing the yard. I mean, who knows? It happens different every time. But yeah, I'd say for the most part, we like to start with an acoustic guitar if we're really like sitting down and planning out a writing session.
I feel like for parents, when it comes to your kids showing any kind of interest in music, they live in fear of three things: bagpipes, the violin, and the drums. Absolutely.
Yeah, I always say that I made a huge mistake by playing the drums. It's awful. I mean, it's the most work if you think about it. It's the most obvious if you make a mistake live. And you can't practice that without bothering everybody. So yeah, I've often considered making the switch, but but I think we have our spots filled right now. So,
are you the first drummer in the family? Where did this come from?
Yeah, actually, I think so. None of my siblings play music at all. I think my brother played saxophone in band in high school, but I have my grandfather on my dad's side was a bluegrass musician, and then my grandfather on my mom's side also played a little bit here and there. But I think my grandpa on my dad's side is the one that really got me into music. He'd come down from South Dakota, and we'd always write these silly bluegrass songs about ducks and chickens or whatever it was, which is really cool. But yeah, nobody played drums in my family. I don't know where that came from.
Is bluegrass the soundtrack to your childhood? I have a theory about music that there's the unwilling soundtrack to your upbringing that you get from your family and your uncle and the neighbors. And then you hear something normally in adolescence that you make the conscious decision that you like for yourself. And then everything after that changes. So are songs about ducks and chickens and bluegrass, is that the soundtrack to your childhood?
Honestly, not really. He was really cool about it. Like, he would let me just kind of show him things that I liked more often than not, especially as I got a little bit older. I remember one day he came down, and I was really into Metallica at the time, as we all were, but that Black album. And I remember I think it was the solo to either The Unforgiven or Sad But True. And I was like, you got to listen to this, Grandpa, and him and my dad are both just sitting there like,
what is going on with music?
You're a fucking idiot. You have no idea what good music is. You know what I mean? But they sat there through it and indulged me, I guess. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
What were you listening to before you discovered Metallica? What did they teach you to love that you still love today?
I had older siblings, right? So I was kind of always seeing what they were listening to. And I had a sister that was 10 years older than me. So honestly, it was like Two Live Crew and shit like that. Like NWA and Two Live Crew. Like when I was a little bitty kid, I was cussing and saying like all the worst shit you could think of. I had the worst mouth ever and still do as a result. But yeah, I was listening to like really filthy gangster rap from the time I was like, since I can remember, honestly. It was awful.
I love that so much. It's so amazing.
Right?
So obviously you end up a rock drummer in Hinder. Like that's just the obvious career path for you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I always try to sneak in rap parts whenever I can. It's like doing rap is the most fun thing ever. I don't know why.
So was it Lars? What was it that turned you on to drumming?
No, I honestly don't know. I remember every now and again we'd go out with my parents and I'd get to catch like a local band or something, playing around town. And I was always just fixated on the drummer. The drummer just always looked like he was the coolest guy on stage and having the most fun. And for some reason, I don't know, that's just kind of what I chose.
How long did it take your parents to buy you the first drum set?
It took a little while. Yeah, I borrowed one from like one of my sister's college boyfriends for a while. He had one sitting around. It was a piece of shit, but he let me borrow that. And luckily my parents had this big garage and they shoved me out there for a while. And then eventually my dad built this like little, I don't know, probably 10 by 8 room out of freezer panels. So it was like, had really thick styrofoam in between the outsides. And he shoved me out in the yard at that point. And that's where I got to practice so they couldn't hear me. It was pretty awesome.
I was going to say, like, what a backhanded way to tell you I love you. I'm going to build you a room for you to learn how to play the drums, but it's in the yard and it is so that I can't hear you.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, kid, you suck. I can't listen to this anymore. Get out of here.
So when you're out in your freezer in the backyard learning how to play the drums, what drum part in what song did you get right? And you were like, oh my God, I think I'm getting good at this.
Oh, man. I don't know. I played along to a lot of Nirvana, a lot of Silverchair. And then I played along to some Metallica as well. But yeah, I can't remember anything, that I thought to myself, oh, there was one drum solo on a Green Day album. I can't remember which song it was, but it was like a real short drum solo. And I spent a lot of time trying to get that right. And once I got it, I was pretty pumped.
That docuseries that Dave Grohl did where his mom interviewed the other moms, and he was talking about how he stole a lot of those early Nirvana riffs from the Gap Band, all those drum fills from the Gap Band. I never noticed it. And then I went back and listened to those records and I was like, oh my God, he did.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they say, right? Great musicians steal. Is that what they say? Like good musicians borrow, great musicians steal or something like that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I mean, how else are you supposed to learn? You grab things from other people that you think are really cool and really awesome. And that's how you learn. That's how you do it.
You mentioned it earlier about the primary songwriters in the band. It's not often that one of the primary songwriters in the band is the drummer. And being in your freezer in the backyard playing drums and realizing that you can craft songs, those are two completely different skill sets. So when did you realize you could write songs?
Honestly, it was later in life. Like, I think we had just started the band. And that's kind of when I decided to start writing songs, which is really strange. To be honest, when we started the band, it wasn't, I didn't even want to be in a band when we first started. When we first had I was in college and I was going to school for marketing. And before we had our first practice, in my head, I was thinking, well, if this goes well and, everybody's real excited about it, maybe I'll pass this along to, I don't know, some guy I had that I knew that was a drummer. I don't remember who it was now. And then after that first band practice, it was pretty magical. So I think at that point, that's when I decided to get serious about playing drums as well as writing songs.
I would assume the first practice with Hinder, you're not playing original songs. Do you remember what you guys were jamming the first time you played together?
We actually were playing original songs.
Really?
We played one original song. And we did it over and over and over. And I remember I had this little, we did it at my parents' house. And we had this little karaoke machine that was like, had the dual tape deck in the front and one microphone input. And I remember we set that vocal mic out in the other room, in the living room, and we just played that thing over and over and over and recorded it. And I remember for the next 2 or 3 months, we went to parties, like college parties, and blasted this cassette tape of this recording that we did. I mean, it made everybody listen to it for hours. I'm sure people hated us, but they did it and it worked out.
I was convinced you were going to be like, we had to come up with whatever cover songs we all knew. The fact that you guys started from the jump with original music is hilarious.
And yeah, I'm sure it was great too. But we did it. We did it.
I'm so envious of the idea of writing songs because I can't do it, yet I'm surrounded by musicians all day long, so I'm jealous as hell. But talk to me about the process of mining through all the bad ideas to get to the good one, because I've done my own radio show for so long and spend so much time alone in my studio that the idea of collaborating with other people and having that trust to throw out bad ideas and open yourself up to the ridicule of that, to me seems like a horror film.
Yeah.
And yet you guys do it all the time.
Yeah, that's one of those things you have to throw your ego out, when you're in the process. If you have an ego, there's no way you're going to get through a writing session, because it's a lot of, say if there's 2 or 3 guys in a room, there's a lot of sitting in silence, everybody thinking about what a lyric should be, and then everybody's just kind of throwing out, just spitting ideas out, and a lot of times nobody will even respond. Like, nobody will say a word. You'll say something and it's just crickets.
Oh my God, I would die.
Yeah. And then you have to you wait. And then sometimes you'll repeat that 3 or 4 times because nobody's listening. They're thinking, right? And then sometimes I've had this happen to me a million times where I'll say a line 2 or 3 times and it's silence. And then somebody else will repeat the exact line. And the third person in the room will go, that's it. That's the line. It's like, it's just a really, really strange process that, I don't know, I feel like everybody goes through when they're writing.
Songwriters can always point out excellent songwriting in other people. So from a songwriting perspective, what's the perfect song? What song, if you looked up the definition of songwriting in the dictionary, any genre, any artist, a song that is so perfectly crafted that you're like, man, I wish I wrote that myself?
I don't think I could name one, if I'm being honest. There are so many, God, man, I think that all the time. This is gonna, sound funny, but honestly, Chad from Nickelback is one of those writers that when you hear some of the songs and you think about the lyrics and how how he crafted them, and a lot of stuff he does by himself, which is incredible. Most writers, they don't write by themselves. It's hard to do. And that guy can sit down and just write really great songs over and over again. And they have a ton of them. So that's, I think he's one of the better writers of our time for sure.
I talked to the Finger 11 guys, and they said that Chad gave them really good advice when they kind of hit, because they were like, here comes the hate. Because with the success comes the hate, and the more they hate you, the more successful you are. And if anybody knows anything about success and hate, they even made a documentary about it with crazy. Nickelback.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same way with us coming up. Whenever things started really popping and we started really getting off the ground, I mean, the hate that came our way was pretty wild. But we came up like getting to watch the Nickelback camp because we were kind of tied in with them and we were kind of close to them. So we were able to watch their situation and kind of understand that that's just part of the territory. And I think we were lucky for that, honestly, because that could have been, I don't know, we were pretty insecure, and that could have been bad, I think. So it was nice to be able to watch them come up.
Well, having that thick skin to really be able to tune out the noise. And you guys came up in the early days of kind of social media and the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Being a new band now and getting that wall of hate in the way that it's possible now digitally, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing you can do is you put out content and then hire somebody else to go through the comments. I don't know, because I know I can't do it anymore. I get angry. Like, just the fact that people are so quick to just be assholes constantly. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's people that have never created anything in their lives. I think I guess that's the point of social media, to be able to go out and spread your opinion around. But I don't know, the fact that everybody's just embraced this like hate-filled narrative, or just, everything they do is negative and hateful. I have a hard time with it.
Well, coming from a marketing background that you have, all of these things, the TikToks of the world and all of these different outlets, from a marketing perspective, they're amazing. But that other side of it, that anybody that has had the unmitigated gall to try and create something just knows that the hate is coming for no other reason than you just put yourself out there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, everybody wants to have that, that first really funny comment, or, that comment that gets all the likes and everybody's like, oh, what a sick burn or whatever. It's kind of frustrating, to be honest, but that's okay. You just learn to deal with it. And, like you said, grow thick skin and move on. That's all you can do.
Do you enjoy it at all? Like my husband and I, because we're not together a lot, sometimes we communicate our love languages TikTok videos that we send to each other. Are you like that too?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think that's the only part of social media that I like, is just sending memes to all my friends and my wife. I'm sure she gets I'm sure it gets old to her, because I do it constantly. I mean, it's probably 20 a day. But yeah, man, that's I feel like that's like the only fun part of social media. That and Facebook Marketplace. I'm pretty into that as well.
Interesting. What have you bought on the Marketplace or gotten for free even?
Yeah, I don't ever buy anything. I don't know what it is about it. I just love seeing what's out there and thinking about, I'd like to have that, but also I don't really need more shit. You know what I mean? I need to get rid of shit. I got too much already. So, but I don't know why. For some reason, I'm totally addicted to it.
It's like you can shop without spending money.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Kind of cool.
I don't have to leave my couch. It's incredible. So,
if I came to Oklahoma City, I've driven through Oklahoma on a cross-country road trip, and I just remember it being really freaking windy.
Mm-hmm.
Where is your spot that you take friends from out of town? Like if I came to Oklahoma City and you were like, I'm taking you out for lunch, I'm going to take you around town, where would you take me?
That's really hard because, there's this restaurant and I think you pronounce it Gaiutis. I'm not sure, but that's how we pronounce it. But it's like a fish, the band Fish, like a fish themed restaurant, which sounds really weird, but they have like really interesting food. Nothing is normal sounding. But however they do it and they put it all together, their food's incredible. So that's probably my favorite place in the city. But we have one of the best food scenes in the entire country in Oklahoma City, which is really weird. I think we were in the top 100 food cities in the entire world, which is kind of cool. So yeah, we have a lot of really great spots. So if you ever come through, hit me up and I can point you in the right direction.
Traveling rock bands are some of the most well-traveled people on the planet. You guys are just always somewhere. Where have you gone outside the United States that you fell in love with the people, the food, the architecture, the culture that you did not expect to love?
Not as a band. We were just, my wife and I went, but I think Costa Rica is probably my favorite place on the planet. And I did not expect the food to be so good there. One of the best Italian restaurants I've ever been to was in Costa Rica. So
as an Italian person, I'm trying to imagine great Italian food in Costa Rica, but I guess everything like the fresh produce makes sense.
Well, yeah. And everybody moves there, right? The restaurant was owned by an Italian family and they grew everything on site, which was incredible. So yeah, I don't, for some reason, I guess just because so many people go there and fall in love with the place and then they move there. So there's just all these different, influences there, which is great.
You are getting ready to go back out on the road through kind of the holidays and into the new year. As we're in the holiday season, what does the holidays taste like for you? What did you grow up eating that you only get around Christmas, that you only get around New Year's, and the holidays are just not the same without it?
I guess pumpkin pie, to be honest. I love pumpkin pie, but it's just one of those things you don't get it all year round, right?
Did you see that smell research they did? They did this smell research with men and women, and they did all these different smells, and they said that pumpkin pie was the smell that was most sexually arousing for men.
Interesting.
And then what they said was that women, it was citrus, and that's why the marketers make cleaning products that smell like lemons.
I'm going to Walmart. I got some citrus to buy.
Well, no, I don't know what it is because my husband loves pumpkin pie too, that it's just that, and I make them around Thanksgiving and Christmas just because he loves them so much.
I guess it seems like a lot of babies are born right about 9 months after the holidays, so it makes sense.
I'm just saying, it's the pumpkin pie.
All right. I like it.
Growing up, what was the greatest Christmas gift you were ever given by your parents?
Probably my first drum set, honestly. It was one of those deals. My dad always thought he was really funny, and he liked to torment us with around Christmas. And I was a spoiled ass kid, to be honest with you.
It's nice that you can admit that.
Yeah, it's true. But I remember begging for a drum set, and he was always, no, not a chance. We can't afford it. Like, do you know how much those cost? No way. And of course, I would always cry and throw a big fit because that's what I did to get my way. And he held on to it. And was, no. And then I woke up Christmas morning, and it was this giant 7-piece pearl drum set in the living room. And it was a used drum set, but I didn't care. How cool is that? Like, I don't know. It was, I'll never forget that moment. That was really neat.
With the holidays coming, 2025 plans already in the works for every band, trying to plot what is going to be probably one of the busiest touring years ever. Looking at the bands that are getting back together, the bands that are celebrating massive anniversaries, 2025 is going to be crazy. So run down the plans for Hinder for next year. New music, touring, and if you're not supposed to tell me, it's totally fine. Tell me anyway.
Yeah, no, we have a tour coming up starting at the end of February with our friends in Saliva and Kingdom Collapse. So that will be awesome. And we actually drop our new album right, I think it's like 2 or 3 days into that tour. So we have a single coming out right there. I can't remember the exact date, which is terrible. It's like February 21st or something like that. But anyway, so yeah, we have a single coming out with the drop of the album right around that tour. So I mean, that's gonna be big for us. We're very excited about it. And then after that, we'll see what the reaction is to the album. If we decide we may do another music video for another single to push, or we may shift our focus. We have a 20-year anniversary of our first record coming up soon. So we may do something around that. We may not. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, that's what I was going to say. All of these crazy anniversaries, when I talked to Jerry Horton from Papa Roach, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to wrap my brain around the idea that Papa Roach, Linkin Park, and Disturbed are all eligible for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next year.
Holy shit.
Right? And that by definition, 25 years from the date of its release is the definition of classic rock. So we live in a world where like Down with the Sickness and Last Resort are going to be classic rock next year. Like, what?
Why did you have to tell me that? That's awful. That's an awful thing to hear.
Well, you're talking about the 20th anniversary. Like, look,
I know, but
I'm not happy about it either.
You get to go throwing out words like classic rock. That's rude.
But that's the qualification for induction into the Rock Hall is 25 years from the date of your first release. And so I'm just, having been on the radio, like my first radio show was in 1998. So that whole kind of post-grunge, new metal era, for lack of a better term, all of that all the way through the aughts and all, like that is the all of those bands that we're talking about being quote unquote classic rock were the bands that were starting when I started on the air. So I'm making myself feel just as old as you feel talking about it.
Yeah, but you know what? Bands like Papa Roach that just know how to stay cool and stay current and, go out every night and completely rip people's faces off. I feel like that makes a big difference. That helps me feel better. Helps me not feel as old watching guys like that do it. You know what I mean? So that's cool. Good for them.
Where's the weirdest place you've bumped into your own music? Because it's got with all the traveling and the radio, and I don't know when it happened, speaking of getting old, but the soundtrack of the supermarket is unbelievable now. So like, where is the place that was the weirdest that you bumped into your own music?
It's not going to sound that weird, but the story was kind of fun. We were going around one night, and I don't even know why. There's this like kind of shopping mall that they had turned into really dirty, shitty nightclubs. And my wife and I and some friends, I don't know why we ended up going to this place. And we walked through the back door, and I didn't know it was there, but when you walk in, there's this tiny little strip club that, like, I swear nobody in the city knows is there. And there was nobody in there, but there was this stripper that was, I don't don't want to sound shitty, but she was wearing this leather thing. It was just all real skinny straps. And she shouldn't have been wearing that at all. There was just too many things going in too many places in too many directions that shouldn't have been. So, and she was, we walked in right at the right time. She was doing her thing. And I think it was Better Than Me was playing, and she had the candle out and she was pouring the wax and the whole deal. And some of that wax was getting lost in some spots. Not going to lie to you, but it was, I don't know. It caught me off guard. It was really funny.
Look, you know you've made it when you walk into a strip club to your own music.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened a lot of times, since then, but for some reason, that particular moment caught me off guard. It gave me a good laugh.
Well, I'm so glad that you guys are on track with this new album and that 2025 is going to be just as big of a year for Hinder as it is for so many other rock bands, because looking at the tours that are already announced and the rumors about the records that are coming out, next year is going to be insane in a really good way for rock fans.
Yeah, I think we again got lucky and put out new music right at the right time. I feel like, the response to the new stuff has been great. All the numbers are awesome. It's been really fun to watch all the fans get into the new music. So, it's going to be great to get out on the road again, like for a while, for like, an actual proper tour and get to see everybody react to all the new songs that we're playing. It's going to be really cool. We're excited about it.
I was so bummed that I missed you guys play the Big E this year in Massachusetts back in September.
Yeah, it was a good time. You missed it. It was fun.
The Big E is one of those places that you have to experience because it is all of the world squished into one event.
Yeah.
It's literally like giant pumpkins, Hinder, livestock, funnel cakes. Like, it's everything. Tattoo competitions, it's everything.
Yeah, I think there was a Disney guy playing like in the arena behind us. We played. It was cool. We had a great time. That was a really great crowd, and it was fun.
Well, I'm sorry that I missed you, but I hope I'm going to get a chance to see you guys with Saliva next year. The new record's coming out in February, and 2025 is going to be a big year for Hinder. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you in 2025.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
There he is, Cody Hanson from Hinder. You can check out the band's new singles, Live Without It and Everything is a Cult, on this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast that features all of my guest music and all the artists and songs that we referenced in the interview. You'll find it linked in the show notes. You'll also find all of Hinder's links, Cody's links, and of course, the Mistress Carrie links. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday, and every weekday, you get the Sit Rep. The Situation Report breaks down all of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in about 5 minutes. Join me every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern for my weekly live streaming video show, Cocktails in the War Room. You'll find it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and my official YouTube channel. And you can always listen to the Mistress Carrie radio show. Get the details on all of that and the Mistress Carrie Grunge Brunch with 5 Against None at City Winery Boston on December 28th and just added December 29th. The Mistress Carrie podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.